Welcome to Behind the Surface, Seeing Beyond What the Eyes See. We are both practicing clairvoyance. Our strengths are in clairvoyance and claircognizance, the abilities to see and know. We both perform clairvoyant readings and teach in this area, guiding folks to tap into their own inner knowledge. Through our exploration in this arena, we have become privy to a different level of understanding by tapping into universal knowledge. Our podcast is supposed to be thought-provoking, not a debate. Nothing we ever say is fixed or final. It's theoretical.
In this episode, we're going to talk about manifestations. Are we really in control? Do you believe you can manipulate your path in life? Or is it all mapped out for us? So,
what do you think?
I'll cut to the chase. So my understanding and beliefs change rapidly. So, don't crucify me for my beliefs here. For now, I believe that everything is mapped out for us. It's all there. Everything is there already for us. I believe that we also have the illusion of free will. And let me explain that. So I believe that there are junctures in life that we have to reach, no matter what. We're reaching this particular junction that I call a medallion, like a gem. So It's this gem spot. And on the way to get to this gem or medallion, there's the illusion of free will, which is potentially, 4 or 5 different options to choose from. I don't know when you were born, but in my era, we had choose your own adventure books. And it feels similar to that. It feels like there's 4 or 5 other ways that are already written. So really, do we have control? So I believe that each path is based on your vibration at that moment. And wherever your vibration is the path that you're going to be magnetized to. And one path, say your vibration was lower, one path may be a bumpier ride, but still get you to that place. And if your vibration is higher, the path you are magnetized towards may still have the same issues in front of you, the same, boulders maybe in your path or maybe, a little crack in the road, but you'll sail through that easier.
I have a good story that touches on that. I ran into a friend recently, and I had done a clairvoyant reading with her maybe a year before. And in the reading, I told her that sometimes she needed to just wait. And that wasn't part of the way she runs. I told her that sometimes forcing things doesn't always work. And when I saw her, she said, "Alice, it's working." And she was talking about that ability to just sit and wait for something because it will come to you.
Well, we've all heard the phrase hands off the wheel. Where'd that come from? Someone must have been tapping into what we're tapping into, right? But why do we try to put our hands back on the wheel again?
Yeah, we think we have more control than we probably do, right?
A lot of us try to control the outcomes of our lives. And most often when we're trying to control, it's because we're not happy in the present moment.
You have a good story about kind of having, this kind of talks about, precognition is knowing the future. And you have a good example of some furniture that came to you.
Yeah, that's interesting. As Alice was saying, we do get precognition, which is future time information, but we try not to act on it, but rather just keep it in the present moment. So really, as I was saying, I believe my belief in manifestation is that we already know what's coming and we feel it coming and we want it now because we want everything now, right?
Right.
Well, I have a good story. During the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, about 8 months before, I had been living in a home with, 3 women and 5 children. That's a whole nother story. It was a big co-living existence. My roommate worked for a development company and they had just sold 2 penthouses. And all of a sudden, we had this influx of furniture coming our way. And really high-end furniture from Restoration Hardware and CB2 and, just really nice stuff. And we happened to be living in a home that was fully furnished. It was actually a mansion that was fully furnished. I said to my friend, let's take all the furniture we can get. It feels like we're moving. And this was 8 months before the pandemic. So lo and behold, when the pandemic came, literally like 2 months into it, we're all moving in different directions because it didn't make sense to stay living in that home anymore. So I would have been really upset with myself had I said, oh, we don't need that furniture. We live in this big house with everything in it.
Because you needed that furniture when you moved, right?
And now we're using every bit of that furniture. And the furniture that we didn't use, we sold and purchased things that we did need.
Yeah. That's a good story. I feel like you're a little bit ahead of me on these concepts about certain things. And I feel like I'm trying to catch up with you, and I might not exactly be in the same place you are.
It's okay that we're all on different timelines.
With this theory. But I realized when we first started doing this type of work, when you and I were both first in school, I started realizing how to manifest or how manifestation worked. Like putting something out there and seeing how it would come back. And I realized that if I said something out loud, it would speed up the process. That thing would come faster to me rather than keeping it in my own head. And I also noticed that the more specific I was about manifesting something, the longer it would take to come, or it might not even happen at all.
It's the truth. There's a level of also feeling like you deserve it. So it is all vibration. It's huge. Like I said, I believe that everything is out there in front of us. And if we have clean filters, meaning we've done work on ourselves and we get away from the limiting beliefs that inhibit us from being in the flow, that everything is right there. So, you know what they say, be in the flow state, right? And in the flow state, everything just happens. Well, I believe because of our belief systems and the filters that we look through life through, meaning the beliefs that were imposed on us by society, our family, teachers, television, past life karma, and genetic trauma. We're looking through a lot of lenses. Many of us are looking through more than others, and some of us have cleaned them. But when we start working on those lenses, we stop putting the rudder on the flow of the river. So what happens is sometimes we feel something coming and then we put the rudder on and we slow it down. Like, oh, no, I don't deserve this. Or, oh, no, I'm in fear. Or, oh, no, what will Sally think if I chose that direction? Oh, no, there's all these oh, no's. I can go on for days.
Right.
So that inhibits us from having our manifestations, or what I'd like to say, our story unfold naturally, because I believe our story is what we're really talking about, our story, not manifestations. And there lies in my belief that then we make those decisions to choose the path of a lower vibration to get to where we need to go to, that's riddled with all kinds of challenges. And that's really based on our beliefs. And our beliefs are a manifestation of our vibration, and our vibration controls everything in life. So that's my little 2 cents on that for now.
Yeah, kind of getting back to the rudder ideas. I always think of letting it flow, kind of like jumping into a river and letting yourself flow down the river rather than trying to swim towards the side and clinging on to the branches.
Totally. However you want to look at it. Yeah, well, it's great. We should paint some visuals because these are concepts that aren't that easy.
Right. Yeah, and then also one thing that I learned in this process is when you're trying to manifest something, don't make a wish.
Yes.
Right? Like a wish is something that other people have. I wish I had that. I wish I had that.
Which leads to desire. Which is a very low vibration.
Right. And if you have a want, that's going to fill a space. And sometimes the want fills a need. You might have a need. I mean, that's another thing when you're trying to manifest. Do I need something, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. Sometimes something comes to you when it's not quite right. But you have to recognize that you manifested it, or what I should say is, it's in your story.
Right.
Ask yourself, wow, look how close I got. Let's see how close I get the next time, in recognition of what I am manifesting in my story.
Right. Sometimes it's close to what you manifested. I mean, I always have a hard time thinking, like, is this it, or is the next time it?
Yeah, right? Yeah. What was that story we were just talking about? It's really good.
Yeah. I have this friend who, this is a while back, She was living with another friend of ours, and I'll call them A and B because we don't use people's names here. So friend A bought a brand new car, and it wasn't exactly the car she wanted, but it was really nice and it was really close to the car she wanted. And friend B had someone come visit, and they had a camper. And friend B asked friend A, could you park your car on the street instead of in the driveway so that the camper can fit in the driveway off the street? She said, okay. And in the middle of the night, somebody came around the corner and totaled her brand new car, friend A's brand new car. And friend A was so mad at friend B for days, wouldn't even talk to her, wouldn't look at her. And then she got the insurance money and she went and bought the actual car she wanted.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a great story. I also like the idea of, like, you might be feeling like, okay, well, I keep thinking about this little red Corvette.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want this little red Corvette. Wow, because I keep thinking about it. But really, what all of a sudden you're driving down the road and you see this little red Corvette has had an accident on the side of the road. And then you go to the side of the road to help this person who's had the accident. So you really you're feeling something that's coming, but not knowing quite how to assign it yet because your filters aren't quite clean yet. So that's a really good example of why I believe, especially from all the readings I do, that things are already mapped out for us and our control is an illusion. So it's best just to work on yourself and clean your filters out to be in a flow state. So you're never having to sit and wonder and grapple with the idea of wanting or needing or desiring something, because you're content in the present moment, knowing that if you take your hands off the wheel, that everything is going to be as it should.
It lines up. I always feel like it lines up when that happens.
Oh, but but I still get into like a little pissy little girl who's throwing a tantrum with pigtails on. I mean, I did it this morning. I meditate till the cows come home too, y'all. And I still had a little pissy fit. You know, it just didn't go my way. And now I'm going to have to go all the way back into the city to go do something again. And I wanted to do something else with my time.
Right.
And
but
that
who knows what you're going to find when you go back to the city.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, I'm being guided where I'm supposed to be guided for my highest good. And our highest good is always about our evolutionary process. Although some of us resist evolving, but we're really here to evolve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all about our contracts too. This is what we talked about in podcast, our last podcast. What was that? Number 5?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about our contracts with people, and this pony's back up on it. The said situation that got me in a little tizzy this morning was, give you a little backstory on it. It's my ex-husband lives in the city, and he's disabled, he's brain injured, and I help manage renting our son's old bedroom out to keep out a roof over his head. And I have to show the apartment, every year or two, someone moves out and I have to manage it. And it's a very stressful situation for me, but I've been dealing with it for 14 years now. So it's one of my life lessons in showing up to this and how I show up to it. I used to have a fit and lose it and be really upset and nervous that it wasn't going to get rented and I was going to have to take responsibility, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, I thought that I had a renter last night. And the renter said he would call me last night, and he did not. And I thought, okay, it was too late after his dinner, so he's going to call me this morning. He didn't call, so I text him, and I said, have you made your decision? Are you going to move in? No, I'm not. I text your ex-husband. And I just had a fit. I had a fit because it didn't fit my narrative on what I wanted to do with my day today. My day was supposed to be spent going to acupuncture, going to the gym, podcast with Alice, and then a nice bath, and then to the city. Now I have to adjust my whole schedule again and plan on a weekend of showing the apartment. But who knows what's going to happen when I show that apartment?
When you jump in the water.
Yeah, I have to jump back in the river.
To get wet again.
Get wet again and flow down the stream.
Right.
I hope we made sense. Do you think we made sense today?
I think we did, hopefully. Maybe next time we should talk about precognition a little bit more.
I think that's a good idea. Precognition is future information. And I think it's a good one to discuss.
It'll pony up with this pretty well.
It will, because many of us, are grasping for the future and thinking it's going to be a better thing. You know, it's best to stay present. I remember having a psychic reading in my 20s, and the woman literally mapped out my whole life down to telling me I was going to be a psychic, which at that time, yeah, I came from a family lineage of knowers, but I wasn't planning on being a psychic. And I looked at her like, are you crazy?
The same thing happened to me. I talked to a psychic. It really messed me up. Yeah. But she told me that I was going to be doing the same type of work that she does. And I was like, what are you talking about, lady?
Oh, I know. I mean, she even told me who I was going to marry ethnically, what gender child I was going to have, which, again, leads me back to, I believe everything is mapped out. But that was irresponsible of her to do that.
Yeah, we don't do that with
We don't do that with
our
our clairvoyant
it stresses
readings.
people out.
Yeah. We have so many steps to take
And-
before we can get to some of those, what I like to call gems or medallions.
Right. And we have those different paths.
Yeah, and
So-
it's all about our evolutionary process and how we vibrationally show up to things. Yeah, so let's definitely talk about precognition next.
I think that's a good one.
We'll see you in our next episode. We'll cover
Precognition.
Take care.